I don't know what happened. We keep getting these technical difficulties, man. I was we're in the middle of talking about plant medicine. I was making some ceremonial grade matcha, which is a replacement for coffee. Comes from Japan. Talking to my brother Thomas Jordan. See if we can get him back on. Re-cleanse the social webs of maybe big FARMA doesn't want to y'all to hear this. Blessed be, so it be. Cleansing the airwaves of social media. I'm gonna try and add him again here. Sometimes the people's phones slip, you know. It's not, who knows what happens? Let's see. Add a request. Invite. Send them the invite. So we'll sit here and we're gonna get into plant medicines and recovery and addictions and all that and cool, fun stuff. But let me cleanse this. I made this. Actually, I'll save that for later because tonight we have Mandy Valadez speaking from Sedona, and I actually bought these pieces separately in Sedona, and I would love to show her that and made this. So cleanse these airways so we can get the messages that are needed to be heard, cross the webs without distractions and or interruptions, metaphysically, metaphorically, energetically, frequency-wise, social media-wise, interruptions between frequencies of the Wi-Fi and or connection-wise. I'm gonna send him another message. So yeah, this is plant medicines and recovery and so on, plant medicines itself. I'm gonna give him a little text, personal text. And sometimes too many apps are open. I had bring them to the video. Send invite. Yes. On my black. Okay. I cleanse the airwaves for us.
Oh.
You joining? Are you having bad connection?
That's a good question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I can't see
It's
you either.
like joining, and it's just click it. It has a little picture, tiny of your circle face and profile. There, you lost you again. I think it's a reception on your end, brother. There you are. We're coming.
There we go.
Yeah, that's my boy right there. Okay, line myself real quick. All right. So we're talking about plant medicines and recovery, and that could mean anything, right? I love this crystal. This is would you call this aquamarine?
That's a good question. It looks almost like
It's
amethyst.
not
Or-
amethyst, and it's not aquamarine. It's something else. I can't remember. Dear friend gave it to me. But anyways, get distracted by shiny, beautiful, spiritual things, right? It's shiny
Yeah.
object syndrome, as some say. So what were we talking about? Plant medicines and oh, it's the Nangra.
Sananga.
I was at your
Sananga. Yep.
place over there, and Sanangra. You had it and you're talking about it. Somehow it got brought up because some friends of ours were doing it, in this plant-based thing that you drop in your eye. And I've seen it all over Mexico, like people using ceremonies, and it's what does it root from?
Um, I can't remember. It's the name of the plant is similar to a boga, unrelated, but uh oh man, I should have brought my bottle up
It said
here.
on there. I remember on the side it said Hape Source.
Yeah, so that's one of the brands. I mean, I never thought that I would say that was one of my favorite medicines, but over the past year since it was first presented to me, as I was in the process of moving out here, I spent most of December scouting the position that I'm now in, and I spent about a week up in Breckenridge at our Breckenridge location, Plant Magic Breck, up off of Peak 7 in Breck. And my friends, as I like to say, put me through the gauntlet as far as cold plunging, Sananga, just scratching the surface of this whole movement. And, you know, the first description of Sananga, for lack of a better or a more distinct representation, it's almost as if you squeeze a lemon off in your eye. And
that's interesting to say that, because when you had it there and I said, what is this bottle? And it said Hape, because I've worked with Hape. I actually have some right here. I wanted to talk about this Misto from Colombia. So, you know, I've worked with Hape. It's an indigenous tobacco from south of the border of the USA. And I saw Hape source on it, and it was liquid. I'm like, is that liquid Hape or Rape, or what is it? And you said Sanandra, and I was like, oh no, never, I will never do that. I will never drop nothing in my eye. My eyes are too important. Those are the windows to the soul. But I see everyone doing it and people talking about it and being very healing. And that's, I heard about it in Mexico ceremonies or on posts or stuff, and we were talking about it. And then knowing you being an intelligent facilitator / genuine friend of mine that does hold space with care and safety, you asked if I wanted to try. I was hesitant. She's like, I don't know, you do it first. And you said it was funny because you said it felt like lemon squeezing in your eye, and so I surrendered to the idea of. I just had a Olympia cleanse with Lucia Lopez, so beautiful, and she's feminine, of the feminine physical, you know. So
okay. Yep.
I felt like I still needed some masculine energy to clear, especially working with the father in me, and definitely the father, my personal father in me, and connection. And I think I was like talking to myself in my head. I don't know if you know that. And it was like, you know, think this would help. There's something else that's not released yet in the healing of this process of recovering through harm reduction. And maybe a plant medicine assist might help with a masculine facilitator.
Yeah.
And what better person than you? So I tried it, and it reminded me of when I was in Mexico and I was at this taco stand, and I got the most caliente hot sauce and actually splashed into my eye, and I burned so bad. So that's it. It's actually, to me, the hot sauce was worse than the sangra.
Yeah.
Sangra.
You know, so Sananga is, again, it's a medicine that's grown on me. In a lot of cases, mind you, I'm reporting live from our ceremony room here at Plant Magic Denver.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
I've been here. I officially moved here January 7th after spending most of December of 2024 or 2023 here, negotiating the position I'm currently in. Time has moved fast, but over the past year, the past 11 months, I've participated in countless different plant medicines, psychedelics, just various ceremonies of a wide variety in this very room. I sat with my first ayahuasca ceremony in this room last weekend, and we'll get into that shortly. But to start with Sananga, we tend to use that as a primer for various other medicines. Bufo ceremonies tend to start with Sananga. And when I first heard that, I was apprehensive just because, you know, Bufo being known as one of the most potent hallucinogens known to man, it just seemed
potent psychedelic in the world, right, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've sat with that 3 times in this very, very space. And again, like the practitioners kind of started walking us through that. And I winced a little bit when they said like, oh, and we're going to do Sananga, before we get into the Bufo ceremony and, you know, all of the emotions of sitting with such a potent psychedelic for the first time and any preconceived notions or, you know, outside opinions that I'm trying to clear. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to put myself through a painful medicine before that to, you know, I don't want to bring any turmoil to the surface or something of that nature. And I was completely wrong in that sense.
Wow, wow.
Because it's
I
very
would have
clear.
thought the same thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, those that have experience with breath work or meditations, it's, I would say, pretty key for keeping your composure through the short-term pain of Sananga. If I were to explain the motions of that medicine, it's you start with your eyes closed and in a laid position. It's ideal if somebody else can serve you, and you drop the drops of Sananga in the corners of your eyes. Mind you, it's a root bark. Sometimes there's a little bit of root bark left in it.
Okay.
But you'll cry it out.
Right.
You'll shed tears, and anything that went in with the Sananga
Right, and
will be gone by the time
you
you.
said to have a deep intention to work with it when I did it, and I said, and I had just got off like one of those not heated arguments but debates over life with like I'm blessed to have still talk to my father. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like, and you were able to serve that ceremony for me, and I had that intention of to be able to stop trying to force things through my masculine, like push through things and like
yeah,
and listen and connect with my father. He's still alive, bro. Like he's still alive.
yeah,
I know your story. I know other people's stories. And I'm lucky to make that phone call and just be hell on wheels almost in there mad, you know, because he says something that triggers me. I'm grateful to have that, and it made me feel that, cry that. I needed that assist, brother. It really helped me, so I want to affirm you. And like I
thank you.
gave him a call today, and we had a very beautiful conversation, not a debate over political and or structures of society between Mexico and USA and how governments operate. And it's very, very rigid stuff. Just a heart-to-heart conversation, and I believe that the plant medicine, you assisted it like Rondo Swoosh, you know, assisted
Huh.
me to be able to get to that point to now where I can integrate sober without it. I don't need to drop an eye before I call my dad. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well, it's yeah, it's funny. So, you know, ayahuasca, in the weeks leading up to ayahuasca, there's a dieta that you participate in to clear your body of impurities and toxins and to approach yet another very, very potent psychedelic with the respect required to, you know, get the most out of it and not have a completely unpleasant time and to be humbled. And I mean, it'll humble you regardless in a lot of ways. I know it humbled me. And a couple of the key things you're cutting out of your diet, you know, you want to more so engage in a plant-based diet, no pickled foods or fermented things, alcohol, coffee is one of the things that one of the major ones that you phase out of your diet.
So
And being,
can I ask you something real quick? And
yeah.
I excuse me if this is inappropriate. Pardon me. Um, I know it's very vulnerable. What made you want to jump from Sanangra to ayahuasca that quick?
So I'm bringing that full circle
Okay,
right
cool,
now.
cool.
Yeah. So coffee being one of the things that is required to shed from your diet. We have 5 different businesses, tax codes, not even businesses, tax codes, nonprofits, um, a church. We also, our public portal is a coffee shop. So I have very easy access to, you know, I work in the coffee shop rather frequently, and coffee was one of those vices that I've been coming to terms with always being around, and it's readily accessible to me.
Okay.
And to phase that out of my diet, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to supplement it with something to get me moving in the morning. That's where I got my first bottle of Sananga that I had served you the other day. And that's probably about a month ago, I started waking up and immediately doing Sananga in the morning. And again, the first time I did Sananga, it was like, I did the whole process, opened my eyes, and my eyes immediately shut on me to, in that stinging. Your eyes just don't want to open, and you just got to blink through it.
So like,
And
so like in that moment when you wake up in the morning,
yeah.
do you reach for Sananga first or your cell phone?
Oh man. That's a battle. That was definitely a battle. It depended. The Sananga was definitely a great ally in fighting the good fight in not reaching for my cell phone first.
Yeah, so it
Guilty.
could be a double-edged win.
Yeah. And I mean, coffee was right thereafter a lot of times before it couldn't be. And I was humbled earlier this year on a Wachuma retreat. Mescaline, we do mescaline retreats, Wachuma, San Pedro Cacti, up at our Breckenridge location in the summers. And I had one experience that was kind of a spur of the moment invite. And I was working in the cafe, all hopped up on espresso one day. And then I was waking up at 7 in the morning and going into Wachuma ceremony, cold turkey, no caffeine, and I spent the entire Wachuma retreat with a caffeine withdrawal headache. So I was humbled in that experience earlier this summer, and that emphasized that I can't do that with ayahuasca or bufo or any of these other, it was time to make an adjustment from what I learned with my Wachuma ceremony and those caffeine headaches.
Wachuma is it's not masculine. It's because peyote is masculine. That's grandfather. Wachuma it's still feminine.
Wachuma is also masculine. Yep.
It's still masculine plant medicine. Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a lot of fatherly energy heading into Aya.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, all of these being from Michigan, spent my whole life up until this year in Michigan. A lot of these plant medicines just aren't available. And coming from a similar background, if you've read Jason's book Energy, we come from a very similar background and walk of life in the roads that the treacherous roads that we've taken to get onto this healing path. And we're both so very fortunate to be still alive to the point that we are blessed with this healing journey. And I highly recommend reaching out, grabbing a book from Jay. Brilliant book. If you'll know him on another level reading that book, and I
mean, it's somewhere in one of those links. I don't know. Get the thingamajigger up there. But Amazon stuff, I really wish I didn't put it on Amazon, but it was so easy. Thanks, bro. There's some scarcity fears behind that because people getting to know me, and then like, oh, they know me too good, now they're gonna use it against me, type of thing. It's like, oh no, why did I put that out?
But there's power in that vulnerability. We're on a different. They say that. No man walks through the same river twice because it's not the same river and it's not the same man,
Boy, and I ain't trying to cross that river, man. It gets deeper and deeper every time I try to swim back.
Yeah. And yeah, man, it's been such a profound and humbling journey. Through my rebellious phase and my troubled youth days, it was a tall order to humble me, and I have just recently turned this corner into, again, it comes back to, this is a piece of the copy vine. This is the activating ingredient in ayahuasca.
What is that, like glassy? I mean, the glazed.
No, this is a slice. This is a cross section of the actual vine that they
But it looks
they
like
make. This
someone
is the
blackened
MAOI.
it with a coat of something, or is it that's what it looks like?
Yeah, it's varnished, I
Varnished,
believe.
okay, yeah, like epoxy
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. This is one of my beloved mentors. I'm sitting in her seat, the founder of Plant Magic,
Oh,
Megan Len.
hey, what's up?
Shout out
Shout
Megan. She's out in New York on business right now. Always busy. Her feet barely hit the floor. That's pretty standard with the Plant Magic life in the world of Plant Magic. But it's all worth it, you know. We are the home of Prop 122, the bill
Tell
that
us about
decriminalized.
Prop 122. What is that?
So Prop 122 was the bill that passed in 2022 in the state of Colorado. It decriminalized plant medicines such as psilocybin mushrooms, iboga,
Oh,
um, yep, non-peyote mescaline. That's where it's tricky because peyote takes so long to grow. They restricted it due to the fact that it takes a lot longer to grow. We have San Pedro, like I said, which is the mescaline bearing cacti that we're legal or not legal, but decriminalized in the state of Colorado to ingest as a mescaline
sacrament type of
source.
a what?
So as I said, San Pedro or Wachuma cacti are mescaline bearing, and they grow at a much more rapid pace than peyote. And therefore, in the bill, it's technically still illegal to consume peyote in the state of Colorado.
Well, I
which
did
is
hear that under the NAC Act, the Native American National, it's like a National Church Act, that peyote in a ceremony taken as a sacrament religiously is okay, but it has to be signed under the NAC. I don't know if that's okay. If that's something I would have to ask our native brother speaking Friday. Um, but yeah, that's something to be aware of. So I mean, going back to you working with mescaline, San Pedro cacti,
yep,
ceremony, and that's a grandfather plant. I mean, it's like a masculine plant,
yeah,
mescalina.
it's known as a
So
masculine.
it's masculine, and then would you say sangria,
Sananga.
sanangra?
Oh, man, it's hard to it's hard
It
to
feels
put.
masculine, dude.
Yeah, it's so I mean I would just define that as clearing.
Yeah.
I've used it as a primer leading up to both masculine and feminine medicines. I honestly I used Sananga in the midst of my ayahuasca experience over the weekend, which was like, wow, it enhanced the
Okay.
effects so much.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's like we're both ex-drug addicts, and we like to party back in the day, right? We're both coming off similar substances. I can speak for me. I'm an ex-heroin addict for like a decade, you know, and at
Yeah.
least. And like, I know kratom has helped me. I know other things helped me, but other plant medicines continue to help me from going desire to go back in harm reduction because they're not addictive substances. But I have found to the degree like hape or rape right here, you know,
Yeah.
it's an indigenous tobacco from South America. This one, Misto, administered through a facilitator through the Tepe,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Even though it is an addictive substance, I've been a chain smoker. I've been a vape chain. I've been all the above with nicotine. This has actually helped. I've been addicted to this too, and
Yeah.
have used it as a stimulant to get through construction jobs. Um, Although I haven't done any today, I won't do any on this on here to now, but I'm
Yeah.
just showing what it looks like. And it's like a little dust thing it's ministers to the nose, and it's actually helped me kick the vape, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's
Likewise.
like just like if you get that strongest craving where I want to run to the vape store or dig through my mattress for an old vape, like or pack of cigarettes or something, like do a little ceremony and meditate, and it's just one. So with the self-serving tepe, I'm good.
Caripe. Yep.
Like
Which we carry all of these things in the cafe. We have those on the shelves. Various.
those there, correct.
Yeah, various types of hape,
Nice.
tepes, karipe, the whole nine. We host ceremonies here. We also often, that tends to be a primer substance we use for combo.
And
We
then
use
this is
that in the
what I love
process.
Colorado, bro. So tell me about combo, because like you're talking about two that I have not done, and
Oh, wow.
Aya being the Madre Yahe, like the mother. I like when you speak in spiritual terms of God being Father, but the Mother of God. I believe coming from nature speaks through Aya, and I haven't done it. I've been offered to do it in Mexico. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I have other ideas of plans of doing, but I've seen people come home with
Yeah,
what do they have? Like,
I've got a couple
yeah,
little
you
old
have the
burns right
marks.
here.
They stick you with the poison of a tree frog, right?
Yeah, so actually we just hosted a ceremony in this very room last night. I wasn't present for this one, but the materials are left right next to me. They take
Imagine that.
they take this very stick and you light it on fire, and so you take this. I think it's technically an incense stick,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
you light it up and you take that ember and
Right
you
on.
burn the skin. Um, After the skin is burnt, it is there's a expired. So this is a piece of bamboo that the frog, I believe it's the green tree frog, if I'm not mistaken, of the Amazon. It has no natural predators, and
Wow.
it has a venom that's collected, or an excretion that is collected
How do they
and
collect
administered.
it? Do they like through the glands or something, huh?
Yeah, it's I think I want to say that frog is like coated in this this venom or
And
excretion,
they
but
scrape it off
um
they scrape it off the back of the tree frog.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what the bufo is different, correct?
yeah, the bufo is there's certain glands on the bufo that are almost like not
V, what's up?
popped, but they it's similar to these glands replenish every once in a while, and it's almost popped like a pimple. Whereas I believe the green tree frog of the Amazon is just like sweats it through its pores, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Okay, so
Um,
I want to stop here as we got some people joining. You blew my mind with some new information that iboga is now legal to work with medicinally in Colorado.
Decriminalized. Now that one's the trickiest one. It is in a decriminalized state, but that's kind of a slow burn as far as all of the plant medicines that have now been decriminalized. Mind you, also I forgot to add the various forms of DMT are decriminalized. 5-MeO,
Wow.
and NDMT, ayahuasca,
Whoa.
yopo,
This has all happened
all
since
of
I
the DMT.
left. Went to
Yeah,
Mexico for 3 months and I came back and I thought it was just psilocybin and ketamine were legally facilitated.
yeah. I mean, I moved halfway across the country and live in the headquarters of this movement, and I didn't know the half of this until I had been out here for a month. And yeah, mind you, attorney Sean McAllister is the attorney that wrote Prop
Ooh.
122, a proud affiliate. He actually was the one that served me Sananga in our ayahuasca ceremony. He sits here almost every ceremony, and he also does Q&As every month or so, in this space, and answers any questions to
Has he been facilitated with any of these medicines?
yeah,
What?
he's brilliant. He is so brilliant.
That's what I'm
He
talking
read some
about.
of the most. He is such a phenomenal individual. I really got to connect with him on a personal level over this past weekend through
So
this
he's a
ayahuasca
lawyer. You're
ceremony.
saying he's a lawyer, an attorney.
Yes, yes, he's a
He has
psychedelic
actual
attorney.
physical internal
Yes,
evidence that he can present to the GOV. We won't
yes.
speak that word because it picks up on the algorithm that shut us down. It is a thing. Um, wow, dude, that is freaking
Yeah.
cool. I love that because like an attorney that sends someone to jail for not for like a cocaine or heroin addiction, and it doesn't understand what it's like to be an addict, is a different story. But like I put those two and two together. It's like that's beautiful, dude. Beautiful.
Yeah, he's a brilliant. He is a brilliant attorney, poet. He read some of the most phenomenal poetry in ceremony this past weekend. Just a brilliant human being, very engaged in the process and the facilitation of these medicines, holding space. A wealth of knowledge as far as where we're coming from legally, where we're at legally in this decriminalized era, and where we intend to go with this movement. And he had this beautiful poem about how Denver is the Nepal of the Americas,
What's
and just
Nepal?
the ground zero for this conscious movement and this spiritual era that we're now on the
Oh,
cusp
the
of,
plant
and
medicine
that
movement is the Nepal.
yeah,
Oh wow.
well, just, I mean that's the yogic, you know. Nepal goes hand in hand with Tibet and just the Himalayas and the Vedic,
Like this is
the
the
Vedic and
peak
conscious.
elevation. This is the rise. This is
Yeah, the epitome of the
yes.
Eastern philosophy, you know. Um, and he had just he read some of we ended ceremony both nights. I sat 2 out of the 3 nights, and he just ended the night on such a beautiful note with his poetry. And again, I highly recommend, if you're intrigued on the legal status and have any questions that you want answered personally by the man that wrote the bill, check out the Plant Magic website, plantmagiccollective.org, or our Instagram, Plant Magic Denver. We'll keep you up to speed on all upcoming events, and keep an eye out for Sean McAllister. If you come into the space, we have his business card. It says Sean McAllister, psychedelic attorney, right on it. And he's brilliant, you know, walking through Denver, you know, coming from the Midwest, the Rust Belt, and Detroit and all of its woes. I grew up in the recession era Metro Detroit, so I watched the infrastructure crumble. And in a lot of ways, I just looked at Denver as like, and don't get me wrong, the grass is certainly greener in a lot of ways that, you know, just it's on the same frequency. A lot of things that I was a black sheep in Detroit or Michigan, the Midwest culture. Those things are upheld and uplifted in the Nepal of North America, out here in Denver, Colorado.
Wow. So
And
I know you're speaking to a lot of people in my head, especially me, being an ex-heroin addict and an addict of many varieties, which has minimized to basically social media is my biggest struggle today, and things and like that, or
I
cussing
hear you
people
there.
out in the car for cutting me off,
Ah,
anger, you know, like the root of that. So people that may or may not hear the replay of this, when it's reposted, that is in a world of anonymous addiction movements. You know, Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, when he wrote the 12 traditions, this is not legalized yet, but he was working with Lucy, you know,
yeah.
S D,
Yes,
just so
sir.
that doesn't pick it up. So, yeah, so he was working with L, and they were facilitating in a doctor clinic before Reagan came. And you read this in my book, I'm sure, and not to make it about the book, but before Nancy and Ronald came in and shut down the drug war, Bill was
Yeah,
working with
before L was
in
an issue.
emotional sobriety, and those in the program of any of those understand emotional sobriety. It's where you're at that tipping point. You're on the edge of the cliff of the ice where it's like, F it, screw it all. I'm going to burn it back to the ground one more time and pick my DOC back up and shove it down my neck or shove it in my veins. Well, however I do it, put it in that stem, you know, and make one last run of it, because I've been conditioned in those rooms. The great rooms, they help me get to I'm alive because of them. They
Yep.
allow me to see myself, do shadow work in the fifth step, but also move on to past the first step. Bill goes back, you know, no mind-altering substances in CA. This is a mind-altering substance, this is matcha, a replacement for coffee. So like, let's
Yeah.
get over the fact that half the people in those rooms are taking prescribed pharmaceuticals. It's a mind-altering substance. There's coffee in that room.
Yeah.
That's a huge addiction.
Often smoking
So set aside
cigarettes.
all that. there may be a lot of addicts that like want to jump to it, like the old me. It's like, oh yeah, let me do ayahuasca. Let me work with Bufo 5 ml DMT because I remember that day at Burning Man when I did it one time. It was like changed my life. But it's funny, like, but back then I had no intention. I just wanted to party. Yeah, I have a new
Right.
mindset these days, right? So like, so looking at working with these medicines these days, I find the addiction more to be the outcome of the spiritual experience rather than the actual physical feeling. But although without integration, I will get
It,
stuck in that
there it
loop,
is. Yep.
looking for that
So
desire of a new spiritual enhancement, and I won't break free from it. But jumping back to Bill Wilson, he was on to something, and he goes back to the book he wrote, The Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like that. So it's all equal. Like we're all the same. Nobody's different. No, it doesn't matter how worse you are, far off you got. Like we all have the same mental obsession, the mental craving, and the allergy. That's what they told us and conditioned us. And then he comes back like, I did this I worked with Lucy and
yeah.
facilitated in a doctor's office, and it's like 1945, and he's like, I saw colors, and he's damn near suicide too. Like it's either he's gonna pick up alcohol or he's gonna blow his head off or find a way to die. And that's emotional sobriety because and I've felt that before too. Like I've been through that stage, and luckily, I've heard those stories through some solid sources and evidence. You can even Google it and fact check it if you want. There is his quotes and videos of him talking, documentaries and such. And he talked a little bit about these plant medicines reminded him of medicine. It is a plant, that is a plant medicine too. It comes from like a harvested from a wheatgrass type of grass, right? There's a molecular structure in there,
Yeah.
and
Ergot.
it
Oh,
reminded
it's a
him of the
fungi that
beauty of
occurs
life
on wheat.
and
Yep.
remembrance, right? And he brought it back to the knowledge and wisdom to AA, and his own fellowship that he and his wife or whatever, and his partner, what's that dude's name? So it's Bill and freaking. There's the two guys that sponsor Dr. Bob and all those guys. Well, they all shut him down. They said no, it's Bill. It's a mind altering substance. So you got to go back to complete abstinence, and there was no more further. But he was if anybody's listening, he was doing those treatments while he was writing the 12 traditions. Now look at the
Yeah.
wordage, the difference in the verbiage between those two books. I've read those books 1,000 times. That's the
Yeah.
traditions are beautifully worded, dude. He saw the
Yeah.
beauty of life in remembrance. He didn't need to do that again.
Have you read the variations before acid was written out of the 12 steps or the curriculum of AA?
Well, I'm intrigued here. What are you talking about?
Well, I know I know what you're referring to. Basically, I mean, long story short, one of the founders of the 12-step program was trying to include L-Lucy acid into the curriculum of NA or AA, and basically his peers vetoed that part of the curriculum is essentially what you're saying. And I believe that it was initially there. I don't know if they've whitewashed that era.
Oh
And
no,
if
it's
you like,
whitewashed
I'm
back
just
to a
curious.
white chip day one. Trust me, boy. I came back from my DMT experience in Mexico like 3 years ago. I go to my sponsor and I was like, I just had a spiritual enhancement. I am free from everything. I did a shamanic guided meditation, and then DMT on the beach in Mexico, and it was 15-minute meditation. I went back to my
Oh yeah,
buddy's wedding. I had drugs and Molly and alcohol all off me the whole week. Never took one drink, and he was like, "Nope, you gotta get a white chip." And he was mad. I thought he'd be happy in my discovery. Now it has changed today because there's a little more understanding. This is why I wrote that book, because I saw exactly what you just said. There
yeah,
is an alternative modality that people, this is why I kept going back and back and back in and out of jails and institutions and psych wards and rehabs
Right.
and treatment centers and you name it, brother. Like you've been through it too. And it's like, it's because I didn't have an alternative that wasn't conditioned to the point uh, where it allowed me to regress back to a natural state smoothly and still kind of play with the fun idea that like I'm working with the drug, but I'm working with it intentionally. It's not a drug, it's a medicine. And
Yeah.
and it is doing magic for me that I can't explain. It's basically God's hands are on me and I got to surrender. Or
Yeah.
Pachamama is giving me a massage and remembrance, and I must integrate that back into my sober brain that's readjusted into the day. I'm not doing this stuff all day. I don't seek it out, right? So that's just for the people that are listening that maybe I know there's a ton of people that in those rooms that are just bored out of their mind because they hit me up and I was one of them. And not saying that they're bad, I'll still go to them sometimes just to because the fellowship is great. I have a lot of great, freaking fabulous
It's an
friends.
element of community that, like,
It's
you
about
know.
community, bro.
Yep.
That's what this is, a community. You know,
Yep.
it's like it's about
And
love, light, happiness, like plur rave type stuff. You know, like peace, love, unity, respect, but without the Molly.
yeah. So I mean, a key word that's come up a couple times that I just want to emphasize is
Ooh, I
integrate.
like what he just said, Trevor.
Trevor, I love you, brother. Sometimes seeing others' realities, even death, is the first step towards understanding that we are other realities.
Ooh.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
So,
Blessed be.
you know, Trevor is a very similar walk of life. I've told him a lot about you, Jay. I'm so glad he's tuning in right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very similar walk of life, and we actually, yeah, we go way back to those days of living that treacherous path of substance abuse and paying.
Is he from Detroit?
So he's from Grand Rapids area, where I spent the last 10 years on West Michigan. It's Beer City, USA, and it's the poster child city in Michigan these days. And we had met in the grips of some legal trouble and paying our dues as far as getting back to the society, you know. And we've grown on this healing path, and yeah,
too. That's
it's been fun. He's my guy that I call and check in and share all of this, all of these different, just every step of my plant medicine journey in Colorado. That's my guy from back home that I check in
with. Your heart of stone, your brother that you can tell anything to, huh?
Yeah, yeah, very much. You are my Trevor of Colorado thus far.
No, I receive it, bro. I love it.
You guys fit a very similar archetype, and birds of a feather for sure. Y'all will meet in person one day. So, but back home, right? You know, like we're saying, the substances, a lot of these psychedelics that are available. I should start off by saying there's an age-old saying. I can't remember who I should credit this quote, but the quote is to the tune of, "The difference between poison and medicine is merely dosage." But also to upgrade that a bit, you know, or approach, or, you know, the mentality in which you approach it with. And so back home in Michigan, you know, we've all, you know, there's a lot of mushrooms and acid and things around of that nature. Not so much a lot of the plant medicines that are now decriminalized that I work with today. And but back home, integration is really an unheard of term. That's something that I've been acclimating, and it's been a quantum leap since I've been in Colorado. Integration. So
Yeah, how do you
like
define that? How would you
taking the
define that?
time to integrate, but just taking the time to process those downloads. And it's not, the Midwest integration is just more. You integrate an acid trip with more acid than following week, and it's like you almost apply these addictive
You're doing the same thing
behaviors.
as Big Pharma's doing to yourself with plant medicine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that.
And
So like the integration, like it's easy. You tell that to me, I get it straight to the core of the soul, dude. Like it's like integration to me is like meditate in the morning, do yoga, maybe hit some pull-ups, do some gym
yeah,
work, hit the boxing bag, some sun gaze, do some breath work. Yeah,
journaling
some
about
hard
your
activities,
experience.
right?
Yeah.
And enjoy the beauty of life that and remembrance the plant taught me. Um, I think a lot of people miss that part, dude, and they need help with the actual integration part.
Yeah.
Assistance, not help. I would say
So we
assistance
do.
because, like, for me, like, it's like I could go do a ceremony. If I don't have a good facilitator, they wouldn't that doesn't check up on me. Then they're not. That's I would say that is a foul practice. And I can't name one. So I've definitely had great facilitators. How are you doing today, brother? Or or who, or if it's coming from a female, like how's it going today? Like, are you feeling like, different kind of energies with this female and male facilitators? That's why I went to you for Sangra.
Sananga.
Sangra.
Yep. Sananga. Yep.
Sangra. Okay. I kind of want to say something else. Sanangra. So yeah. So
It's all good. Come visit me in the space anytime. Anybody that's listening, come visit me in the space, and I got you on a complimentary Sananga journey.
Beware, it's like caliente hot sauce into your eye, and you're gonna cry.
But it's oh man. I mean, to go past the discomforts of it, you can feel it once the initial stinging dissipates. You feel this very unique and distinct tingling sensation that goes into the deepest cavities of your sinuses. You can feel it spread through your face, and it's this like very profound and distinct sting, like, or tingling sensation. I love the feeling once it starts spreading out. And in the Amazon, they say that it increases night vision. They use it in in hunting or times of war, and they say that it sharpens your vision, and not only that, just clarity of perception on a more spiritual level, but physically, materially, it increases, it enhances your vision. And they say that it keeps your vision sharp.
After you facilitated me and you facilitated yourself, we went and had vegan food, and I was aware of my awareness, like on a high level at that point in night. Like like inside I was like, wow, I'm like super aware right now, but I didn't know that. I guess that's because what you're saying is from the Sanangra.
Yeah, Sananga will,
Sananga.
like, it really. Yeah, you got it. There you go. No R.
Sananga.
Yep.
Oh, I give one a roll.
There we go.
Sananga.
Yeah. So yeah, Sananga has been, like I said, once I started rolling with it as a daily practice, and not only that, I've been playing around with a couple different types of Sananga, and when you start doing them back-to-back days and using different types, it's you can feel the difference, almost as if you have a palette in your eyes or your sinuses for this stuff. Like, some of them feel warmer, some of them feel brighter or heavier, and more intense or lighter. Like, it's very, very interesting, the various shades and how you can feel the difference.
Right, like the difference between rapes and stuff. But so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So that has helped with your caffeine addiction.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like almost like a cold shower effect of just that, like that stuff hits your eyes, and that initial discomfort, that stinging is like, okay, I'm up,
Do you have the desire to never, like, to be abstinent from caffeine, or just in control of it?
more in control right now. I've met a lot of different people at different stages with it. I know it is said that caffeine is actually, it does trigger something of a fight or flight response.
Yeah, dude, I've heard that.
Yeah. Cognitively, it has a similar effect on the brain as if you're in fight or flight. So it would probably, it would probably be in everybody's best interest to reduce, taper down, or phase it out completely. But I mean, who am I to
Phase it
judge?
out. Harm reduction in a different words. Phase it out, tune it down, tone it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's I always just say harm reduction, but that's a very creative way to say it. Phase it out, clearly.
Yeah.
And so like you get to that point where you don't need there's no reliance every morning on Sananga. Um, what would you do next?
So, so here at Plant Magic Cafe, we have a lot of adaptogenic drinks. What brought me into the space is Shilajit, which is, I like to consider it the king of adaptogens.
Every morning, brother.
But I mean, I would say the most popular household names of adaptogens would be lion's mane mushroom, reishi, cordyceps, turkey tail. These are all adaptogenic. So
sea moss, all that stuff, huh?
Yeah, and it's all, so fundamentally, adaptogens, what qualifies something as an adaptogen is an all-natural substance that keeps your body in a state of homeostasis regardless of what stresses you're under or putting your body through or your mind through. So, and they all have their own little niche benefits. So some benefit, liver function or cognitive function or various things under the realm of keeping your body in a state of homeostasis. And if you search into adaptogens and find the list, it's a long list of various plant medicines that are very beneficial.
What do you mean by a state of homeostasis?
Homeostasis is the state of calm, or it's basically, okay, so it's, if you're familiar with cortisol is considered the stress hormone. It's what your body releases when you're under stress. And to minimalize, and obviously a lot of stress comes with this life, with the busy Western world of working a 9 to 5 and the traffic to get there to and from, raising children in this era of inflation, whatever it may be, financial stress, injury, ailments, sickness, a flu bug, COVID, all these things, these are all different things that puts your body in a state of stress. Whereas homeostasis is a state of being stress free to, yes, like Trevor said, neutrality.
I like it. Yeah. That's also a big thing. And those are the areas. Would you say, and it's not necessarily like a tranquility, it's just
I would say tranquility goes hand in hand with homeostasis.
The next decision, a conscious choice.
Yeah, and so tranquility. I would say tranquility is definitely in the same realm as homeostasis. It's again, it's like, if stress is bending you, it's making you more flexible to that. It's just as it sounds. An adaptogen is something that helps you adapt under whatever you're going through. And so, I mean, adaptogens in general are a great way to, and again, they complement. I tend to, before I got the wake up call through that Wachuma ceremony, I add all of these tinctures. We sell all of these mushroom tinctures in-house here. We also add them to our coffees. Cacao is another ceremonial plant. We host cacao ceremonies here, and we also sell cacao lattes, ceremonial cacao lattes in the cafe here. They also say that, so we've talked about this.
Like I have some here. It's like a hot chocolate almost, but it's a sacred chocolate.
Yeah, it's a precursor to chocolate. It's very dark chocolatey.
I actually have some. I'll grab it real quick.
Okay. So
Some pure cacao. They say, if you can hear me, this is pure cacao. Oh, it's free promotion. Pure cacao from, I did not get paid to do this, from Peruvian Trinitario. So I barely use this. Sometimes I'll put it in my coffee, but like sometimes it comes in little hard chunks. I think I get one. Um, so that's like you see that?
yeah, so that's like a ground down cacao. They come in like these little. They almost look like almonds.
Yeah.
Yep, and so cacao is that is energizing, a caffeine-free energizer. They also say it's recommended to not take it if you're taking SSRIs because
Oh wow.
it acts as a natural
So
SSRI. It
imagine
boosts
this.
serotonin.
Imagine this. All these people in these rehabs and treatment centers, drinking caffeine and cafe all day, going to in and out of these meetings while they're
Yeah,
getting prescribed SSRIs. You just nailed a point.
right. And
So
you could quite literally substitute both those things, SSRIs and coffee, with cacao.
wow. So that's interesting because when I got out of jail, down in Texas, I went to. You can probably see it in some of these videos. It's still there. I'm trying to figure out which medicine to work with, but um, that there's this new designer like big pharma psych drug called Rexulti, and I was prescribed it because they tried to tell me that I had this schizoaffective disorder, and yeah, I was doing a lot of drugs, but I didn't have that, and actually I called. I just had a very creative mind. I called a visionary's mind. We had a coven over here one night, and a guy that worked at the suicide hotline phone call came over. Just I didn't tell him to come over. The group that came over that I held space for them came over, and I just held the space, and I told him that story, and he said, "Did you know that people that have been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder are actually known to have shamanic capabilities?" And I'm not trying to
Yeah.
take that label on. I'm just saying,
Oh well,
thank
I
you.
mean, in those traditions, shamanic traditions, it is said that the shamans were marked by mental health, profound and traumatic instances in life. That was said to be the mark of the shaman. Only that was the thing, is we clinically diagnose these things and try to correct them rather than lift these
Yeah.
people up in their eccentric demeanor.
Dude, and you know what
And
sucks?
we
You
do fit
see,
that
like I was saying, you
description.
see it in these videos, like I get like these twitches in my neck, and it happened from that. There was a brand new Rexulti, the drug, designer big pharma drug on the market,
Yeah.
and they're like, we're just test this out, and and I like basically like forced into it, like can't shove a pill down my throat, but I didn't want to go back to prison, to go to prison or whatever, and like, so I took it, and just unwillingly, just submittingly and submissive,
Yeah.
and then I got off of it, and a year started working in HVAC, building my life together, built my own company, and I'm working with this big grow house company in Denver where we do tire mechanical. We're doing environmental control for built environment like HVAC, air conditioning, dehumidification and stuff. And he was like, my buddy boss, he said, I can't send you on any bids to any customers. You look like crackhead, because at the time my neck's going like this,
Uh,
right? And like that's the worst spasms. And I put this on everything, like I put that on everything, I put that on my heart, my life. If I die right now, if this is wrong, so and all my family, that this is what it is. I saw this on TV, a commercial, and I don't put that on anybody. So I saw a commercial that said, if you have been on a pharmaceutical called Rexulti. You're
Class
due
action
to these type of
lawsuit commercial.
lawsuit require like you federal all
Yeah.
those words. And then one of the thing was spasms, and the spasms is basically the Tourette's in your neck, you know.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I just my jaw dropped, and my buddy was there. I was like, "Did you see that?" He's like,
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's you know, I've through various you know, traumas. I lost my parents and many friends at an early age, and I've been prescribed a lot of different things. When I wasn't prescribed Adderall and Xanax, they put me on various forms of SSRIs. And one of the biggest pitfalls with SSRIs is that it takes weeks to get into your system. So you're taking this pill every day for 2 weeks to a month before this medicine is even in full effect, or you're even in it. But then again, and if it's not working, or it brings out psychotic episodes or these spasms, it takes several weeks to a month to get into your system, and then on the back end it takes several weeks to a month to get out of your system. So if it numbs you out, or you know, if you've noticed a lot of these, you know, mass shootings and everything, they tend to later release that these people are on some sort of antipsychotic medication,
yes,
and
this
having an
deep.
adverse reaction
So
to them.
why is America the only one? USA the only one that you hear mass mall and school shootings happening? You don't hear that happening in Mexico. You don't.
Yeah.
They don't. They go to the local herbalist before they'll go to the pharmacy. I can go get any opiate or benzo I want anytime. I don't need a prescription. I was down there for 3 months. I didn't pick up any OxyContin or anything like that. You know, so like there's something different. They'll go indigenously rooted there. And you hit a point with the coming off. When I came off of SRIs about 5 months ago, some videos of, I made like 4 first day videos on my IG or something, or TikTok about something. I was talking about coming off of them. I used your microdose, or like something like your microdose program at over there.
Yep, Denver.
Once a day, and you don't need it to. It's 30-day thing, and and 1 or 2 a day if needed. And some days I didn't need to take it. I was like, no, I don't need it today because I'm happy. My sister was on SSRIs in high school, and she was coming off of them just normally as the doctor said to come off of them. First day she wanted to commit suicide. She was at the edge of a construction house next door, like, I want to jump, mom, I want to jump, like, because it's your head, you know, and it's so it triggers the unwires the circuitry, and there's nothing there to rewire it. So I believe and trust and know and understand that due to the science of the mycelium network within our personal photosynthesis of our body and our brain, that microdosing the first day I came off of it, I went from 50 milligrams to 0 to microdosing in 4 days after I got to 13. And then once I got to 13, I took a tiny piece the next day. Who knows what it was, like a 0.3 or something. And then I microdosed, and it was like, what microdose? You're talking like a half a gram in a little capsule.
Yeah, not even. I mean, usually our microdoses are about 100.
See elephants coming out of the room. The first day you might have a little of that. Oh, life is beautiful, but then it's just it's rewiring and re-stimulating your nervous system and restructuring your receptors. And I felt the most joy and happiness in my life. And set aside the fact that now I have this like, this. I mean, I guess I'm gonna say it because the awareness, SSRIs had numbed me from all types of feelings. All of a sudden, I had like a huge sexual desire to want to be with every woman in the world, and it's unstimulated all my stimulations. I was on it for like 7 years, dude, and like 5-7 years in SSRI depression meds. And now I can feel. So like I had to like do some work on myself, like, slow down there, buddy, like, you know what I mean? Like, luckily I had a girlfriend at the time. I think, no, actually I didn't. I did not. So yeah, so that caused a little trouble there in that world, but you could say, or it caused a little pleasure seeking. Um,
Yeah.
although there was some things I needed to do it to remain like practicing celibacy to my best ability to contain that beast. Because like now it allowed me to feel everything,
Yeah.
pain,
So a lot
suffering.
of people
It allowed me
report
for
with
joy, happiness,
SSRIs.
expression of life, expression
Yeah.
of the sadness, like sorrow, and everything in between. But like mostly, it blocked me from feeling the expression of joy. Like I could
Yeah.
cry for joy. Like I see you succeeding. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you, brother. Like you're killing it, man. And that's real right now because you are killing it. You told me your story 2 nights ago, like where you're at, like fucking killing it, dude. I love it. And like I
Thanks,
could
buddy.
never do that because of SSRIs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it brings you to a very numb state of
yeah,
numbness, in a lot of
yeah, and
things.
numbness
Like, I
like you
mean, it
can't
might,
feel the numb. It's
yeah.
like not a heroin numb. It's just like we're gonna numb
No,
you
it's
without you
like
knowing the
you're not
sensations.
processing anything emotionally. The emotional body is blank, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, like a lot of people lose their libido and sex drive completely. That's one of the first things that go, and it's just a weird. I mean, like I said, I mean, if to each their own, and I can't give anybody advise anybody any medical advice, but I will say, in the realm of plant medicine alternatives and to SSRIs and things that help boost serotonin in those that are lacking of it. As Trevor has said here in the comment section, it does start with nutrition and being conscious eating. And I mean, we are, our food is saturated, just processed, and as Trevor put it, poisoned. And in a lot of ways, that's very true. And so, I mean, but beyond that, if you are looking for supplements in the realm of boosting your serotonin and or serotonin deficiency ailments, as Jason is saying, microdosing and things like cacao, various adaptogenic mushrooms, shilajit, all of these different things. It's like these things you can test it for a day, and if you have if it's not for you, you come right back down. It's not a 2-week process to get onto the medicine
Dude,
to feel its full effects and then
let's
realize
talk
like,
about that. Let's talk about Shilajit since you are actually a producer. You make your own Shilajit, correct?
yeah, so I'm in the works. I get it imported at the moment. There's a lot. That's kind of a slow burn thing. But yeah, anybody that's interested in it, you can reach out to me. Yeah, Thomas Jay 1123 on Instagram
I actually
or
have
Thomas Jordan.
one of your
Yeah.
little trial baggies still here somewhere. I wish I could point it, see it out over here. I could show you what it looks like from the other stuff I
Yeah.
had.
So shilajit is a mountain resin. It occurs everywhere. I mean, it goes back to uh, Vedic lore, thousands of years of history behind it in the Altai Mountains, in the Himalayas, in the Andes, and it is turning up once again. Culturally, it's being renewed. Yeah, there we go.
It
And
almost see what scared me at first is it looks like black tar heroin,
yeah,
but like it's not like
no,
the first 3 days I would just stir it in my coffee or my matcha
yeah,
or whatever drink I have in the morning, a
yeah,
little pea size like a size like a tiny little pea size like that much and
yep,
and I'm telling you, dude, I'd go to the gym and I would have the most energy of my life. Um,
yeah.
like no lie, bro. Like
It's a
this,
wonderful substance. It's a wonderful supplement. It's nature's multivitamin. They call it stone blood or mountain sweat. And it's passed through some very elite circles in various societies and uh, yeah, I mean it's passed through the hands of people like Genghis Khan, Alexander the
oh,
Great,
I didn't know that.
Aristotle.
Alexander the Great too. So you're
Yeah,
going
the
into
first
the
case
48
studies.
laws of power now.
If you, well, yeah, oh
No,
man, yeah,
no,
we.
don't even bust that rabbit hole, bro.
So we'll stick to the script here with Shilajit. So I mean, if you look through written history, there's many rabbit holes you can go down with this substance, and it's profoundly beautiful between the history of just the history of it, because there's so many different corners of the earth that were using this and had their own traditions before we had a world world market. And it was this Shilajit might be where the saying "worth its weight in gold" comes from, because on the Silk Road,
import it from the Himalayas just to.
We'll say so on the Silk Road, they quite literally traded it ounce for ounce for gold. There's an ounce
worth gold.
Shilajit for an ounce of gold on the Silk Road way back when. And so that's the high esteem that it was held in Vedic lore. In Hinduism, it is said that Lord Shiva produced it from his body as a gift for all living creatures amongst the world, plant, animal, and human alike. You can feed this stuff to your dog, your plants. People often it's often fed to like prize race horses. Wow. And they've used it in, again, the Altai Mountains fall at the borders of Mongolia, Russia, Kazakhstan, and China. And they used it back in the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union used to be a hub for this substance, and they'd feed it to their special forces. The president before Putin, Boris Yeltsin, he had severe heart conditions and went under the knife for a number of heart surgeries. And they did special Shilajit treatments to prepare him for that surgery, to keep his body in a state of homeostasis while he was under the knife having like serious like heart surgeries. And it's been used by Olympic athletes, a lot of people on elite levels through Greece, Rome, various empires all over the world. The most elite circles have always used it, and it's called the destroyer of weakness and the conqueror of mountains, or that's what it's referred to.
So and you access this. So obviously you can't find it in the North America or South America, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, you can.
Does it grow, or where does it come from? Like off a tree, or like?
No, so it is plant matter. It's more of an afterlife product of an afterlife cycle. So anybody that's familiar with like cannabis live rosin, the process of taking a cannabis nug and they press it in between a hydraulic press, a heated hydraulic press, and it excretes, it wrings out all of the concentrates. Well, so it's a similar, all right, it's a similar process on a godly scale. So anywhere that you have tectonic plate activity, or you have mountains where the tectonic plates are colliding, and you have an ecosystem growing on top of these mountains, and the heating and cooling, the expanding and contraction, and mind you, this is just a strong theory because nobody's lived long enough to really see the cycle of exactly what's happening. It's happening on a scale that goes beyond what humanity can comprehend. So essentially, when there's an ecosystem growing on these mountains and it's being sandwiched in between colliding tectonic plates, this dead plant matter that's being smushed is eventually it bleeds out of the mountains in the warm season. As the mountains are heating up, you'll come across it. It looks like that black tar, this sappy looking stuff and it's almost like in an ore form. You have to kind of refine it using simple water-based extractions, but it oozes out of the mountains. Therefore, they call it stone blood and mountain sweat. There's a lot of very, very interesting lore. In the Persian Empire, which was very rich in Shilajit culture, mind you, there's hundreds of names for this stuff just because it's very ancient and turns up in mountains all over the world. It is in the Andes Mountains, and that's one of the cool things about this, because while I was in my years of study, just learning everything that I could about this stuff, I just had this gut feeling that it was going to turn up in the Rocky Mountains, just with everything.
You found it in the Rockies?
Well, when in my studies, in my gut, I'm thinking, there's not as much written history, but there was clearly trade amongst North and South America, all of these nomadic cultures, and it is in the Andes and it is used. It's rarer to be able to buy it. It's more rare to find Andean shilajit. I still haven't even found any for sale, and I've looked. Believe me.
Yeah, you have, because you're the one selling it. Or giving
But
you gave me some.
yeah, I've inquired, and I will find it eventually.
Yeah,
I rest
oh, you're
assured.
talking
But
about Colorado.
that being
Yeah. Okay.
so all of it. I'm a connoisseur of this substance, and that being said, in my studies, I just had a hunch. I was thinking, just with colonialism, everything that happened with the natives, I was like, if there's anywhere that Shilajit culture is a lost culture, where it's right under our noses, but it's not been acknowledged, where the culture has been died off, because, I was just thinking with colonialism, if natives were using this substance from the Rocky Mountains, they would most likely take that to their grave. And sure enough, I would revisit it every now and again, and I'd use keywords: Rocky Mountain Shilajit, American Shilajit, et cetera, until I finally started getting results.
Wow.
And it just went hand in hand with the opportunity that presented here at Plant Magic, and a personal endeavor. I'm definitely here to, and it is, I have Rocky Mountain Shilajit in-house. I've met some interesting leads, and I know some places where people are mining it in the Rocky Mountains. You can, in fact, get Rocky Mountain Shilajit. It is my gut was correct. My gut instinct was correct in terms of Rocky Mountain Shilajit and the rediscovery of it. So we are living on the final frontier of this product, in my opinion. It could turn up more places, but in my existence currently, I couldn't be happier to be on what I consider to be the final frontier of Shilajit, and I look to oversee the whole process, start to finish, from mining it one day to refining it to the market, and yeah, it's a beautiful study between the benefits, the history, everything. I think Jason froze up here, or maybe his phone died or something. Thank you, friends, for joining me. I see, yeah, I've seen a lot of my friends come through the space. Love y'all, miss y'all. See if Jason comes back or if his phone snaps to it. Now that I've been in, in the world that they call them 14ers out here, hiking mountains above 14,000 feet, because there's no mountain in Colorado that goes above 15,000. So I've been doing some studies on that, and the entire top 10 list of the biggest mountains in America, or North America for that matter, are in Alaska. I believe it's all 10 of the biggest, the tallest mountains in America are all in Alaska. None are in, I believe, whatever mountain ranges in Alaska isn't the Rockies. So but that being said, and that is a factor with Shilajit. The higher altitude you get it from, there tends to be a higher fulvic acid content, as well as purities and things of that nature. It's considered to be, the higher altitude in which it's harvested, the better. It tends to be a way of grading it, and factors into the price and things of that nature. And I would imagine that Alaska is a good as place of any to, be another frontier in the world of Shilajit. Mind you, it's really cold up there, but it's not far from the Altai Mountains, and that's a place where I source it from. So we'll have to stay tuned for that Alaska strain of Shilajit. Yeah. Did you see the light? Am I adding you back to the group right now, Jason? Because you're froze up. Your picture's frozen up on the screen there. And try it. I don't know. This is odd because you're hosting, so I don't know. We could restart it. My phone might be, yeah, my phone's at 9%. We can call it right now, and then, I mean, we can keep going if we can figure out how to get you back. I've got a few minutes at least. But then again, I'm not. So Trevor lived in Alaska for quite some time, and he might have to take me. We might have to go out there in person, Trev, and be the ones that discover the Alaskan shilajit. I don't know if I'm in the business of fighting grizzly bears over it, though. Even though I think they reported that there's some grizzlies out here in Colorado, so I think that's just a factor. You know, if you're gonna conquer mountains, you've gotta deal with the wildlife in between you and the black gold, as they call it. Ah, there we go. Oh, your sound's out though. Testing. I think you're muted in the corner there. You see it? You got it? Oh, because it's showing a muted microphone in your corner on my side. Technology, man. I'll tell you. Yeah, it looks like all of our phones are dying, but I would love, I mean, shoot, I think this retreat is going on for a number of weeks, this virtual retreat. Jason is going to work in a brick and mortar retreat in Mexico, and these lives and interviews and everything is yeah, all leading up to his departure for the cold season. He's a smart man. He's looking to go back and forth seasonally between Colorado and Mexico and get the best of both worlds as far as warm weather is concerned. And that being said, he's doing some phenomenal work down there in a retreat center, I believe near Mexico City. I'm sure he'll break down the details. He's got a group. If y'all would like to join Gaia Gang, just reach out or look up Gaia Gang. And I believe that coincides with the programs that Jason will be hosting at his